Hello, it's Loretta West with Color Garden Studio, and I'm a certified Zentangle teacher and soul collage facilitator and all-around art gal. And today we're going to make some beautiful heart-inspired Zentangle ornaments. So I'm calling it Ornament of Hearts. So we're just going to move them to the side here. So these are some of the components. Not the good stuff. This is called a inquiry card. So it's kind of fun. I use it for journaling. You can buy them at inquirycards.com, and you just pick one at random and it might ask some thought-provoking questions. This one is, what is my heart saying today? And I thought, oh, that was perfect timing. Okay. Take a minute to sit in your seat and make yourself comfortable. Wiggle around if you need to wiggle around. Put your feet where you like to put your feet, what is comfortable to you. Maybe take a deep breath or two, let it out, and just come into the space of where we are now. I realize this camera here, I'm going to move it up because it's right in my eyeball. Okay. So it's better. Hang on while I mess around. I didn't do that before. Okay. So we're going to go over the supplies that you'll need today. And if you need to go and get something while I'm talking, feel free to do that. So there'll be a template, which I sent you, which was the two heart shapes. And here, let me flip that. It's pretty funny lines on the screen. Okay. I drew them out on Arches 140 watercolor paper, so they can be cut out afterwards. So it's just one sheet of paper. And as far as paper goes, that is what I'm using today. You can also use a mixed media paper. That's what this is, Strathmore mixed media paper. Any paper that can take water and not buckle. That's what you're looking for. The other thing I wanted to mention about the watercolor paper, this is, unless you're using cold press, which is smooth, this is hot press paper. And if I use the side you normally would use, which is the pebbly, toothy side, it would be very hard to tangle on after. So I just turned it over, which is the smoother side. In this instance, I wouldn't recommend the Zentangle tiles because they're just a little too soft for this, but I'll show you some samples so you can get an idea of what is going on. What is going on here? Okay. Okay. You're going to need some paint, watercolor paint, and I suggested that you test the transparency of them to make sure that they are transparent, which means that you can see through to the bottom of the paper when you use them with water. I'm using Dr. P.H. Martin's, I wonder what the PH stands for. Oh, anyway, P.H. Martin's Hydrus Fine Art Watercolor. This is permanent red. And I suggested one or two colors, so not to muddy everything up. And also his 20H, it says alizarin crimson. You don't have to use red or red tones. You can use anything that you would like to try today. I'm also added some iridescent paint. This is Kuretake Starry Colors. So I've got some gold. Whoops. Three kinds of gold. I've got a dark, a slightly lighter and then a light gold, because that really goes well with red. But whatever works for you. And in the twinks, they would work as well. And my brush, I'm just going to use a small brush because, as you can see, the hearts themselves are not very big. They're pretty small. So about 3 inches, 3 or so inches wide and about 3 inches deep. So you don't want a very big brush. This is a flat number 10 Dynasty brush. It's just a synthetic. So it's about almost a quarter to a half-inch wide, not quite. Maybe a third of an inch wide. I think I wrote on there. And you're going to need some things to tangle with. And today, I have the thicker nibs. I've got a pit pen from Faber-Castell in a 0.3. So it's something like this. And a 0.5, which is a little thicker. And I also have a micron 01, so that gives you an idea how fine that is. So if you have, if you have this one pen, that's okay. You can still make this work today. You just have to, if it's thin, you just have to go through lines a little more. You could use a plastic nib pen like this. The only thing is, if once you go over any paint, especially the iridescent paint, it will pick it up in the little ball in there. So you will have to, just take it every now and again and scribble it out to get the paint out of there. And that can be annoying, but it's there in case I need it. And I've got a pencil. This is an HB pencil. And just in case, if you want to use it, a tortillon or a blending stump. Okay. And for the assembly, you're gonna need some scissors. I find if I use smaller scissors, it's easier to get around curves as opposed to the big scissors like this. You're going to need some sort of tape. And I explained on there, you want low tack tape. If you have something like masking tape, which is a high tack tape, you can just rip whatever you need off and just put it on your clothing. Like I got a sweater here, a pair of jeans or whatever, lay it on there and then whip it off again, and it'll take down some of the tack. But I've got a washi tape, which I found really works well for this, and it's the right thickness. You can see it's just perfect for my brush. And I've got some thick thread here. You could also use embroidery floss or some sort of string to string on your elements. And I have got a bauble to put on the end. So some sort of, this is fairly heavy. I've been hanging on to this one for a long time, waiting for that special day. And just make sure that the string you use or the thread you use will go through the hole, because they're not all the same diameter. And to stick things together, you can use a glue stick. This is a Uhu stick, which I find this is my favorite brand of glue stick because it does stick for a long time. I haven't had anything come off yet. And it is also archival. So it's a very good glue stick if you're looking for glue sticks to purchase. And I also have this crafter's tape, which is double-sided, and it's also called ATG tape. And you just put it on, and it's also very sticky, which is good. Okay. You might need a hair dryer, which I have, to dry things in between. And you're going to need a small bucket of water. So I've got, actually my water is quite big, to wet your brush on. And maybe I didn't put it on here, but just a piece of paper to practice the tangles on is a good idea. Okay. So I want to show you how this all started, get an idea. So somebody somewhere in my YouTube surfing, and for art videos, that's pretty much what I do most of the time. As Bill said, that I have a date with art video. That's what my husband said. I saw somebody make these abstract windows. Stuck. Here we go. Abstract windows. I'm just gonna fiddle with my camera here again. Okay, that's better. So you can see. So I taped them off. And this was using wide tape, like painter's tape. And this is on a fairly hairy piece of paper. So the tape did, adhered probably too well. And I just went along and I did these abstract brush marks. And I thought, oh, this is cool. Then I can go in and I can do some strings. I can add some strings and do some tangling over top. And I was really excited about this, I gotta tell you. And so I thought, I carried on, and I thought, okay, well, you could do different shapes of rectangles and squares. You don't have to have the same all the way. It doesn't have to be uniform like that. And I could use some, you can see it, some bling in there, some iridescent color. And what does that look like? That was that experiment. Then I thought, well, that's red. I do love red. But how about, what does it look like with blue? And this is kind of gives this icy look. And the string in this case was a blue Posca pen. You can see that there. Very light, very wintry kind of look with this. And utilizing different tangles with it. What tangle with just lines and versus a heavier tangle like Night Bridge. And how does that look? Then I thought, okay, well, it's actually a friend of mine who's here today who said, what about hearts? And I thought, oh yeah, okay, that's a good idea. Well, let's try that. So then I went on with my experiment, and I thought, okay, I can do a heart shape. This one, a little too big for the paper, but you get the idea. The same idea, utilizing the abstract, the tape, the line, which is the string, and the tangles. And then I was kind of gone. I went to town, as they say. And this is done on a Zentangle tile, and it works well because there's no tape involved with this one. And today, if you don't want to use tape, you can do something like this on your hearts. So this, if you want to use Zentangle tiles, which are more porous and hairier, for lack of a better word, on the one side, then you can do something like this without using the tape, and then utilizing these spaces to put some tangles in. And then I did try it with the tape, and this is with the washi tape, and it did take off the upper surface of the upper surface of the paper of the tile. So it made it abraded, and so it was a little more difficult to put the tangle on there. And I think I actually ended up using a PN pen to make it work. But you can see how pretty that is. And what I liked about it was I thought, okay, I don't have to cut them out. And so then I took a pencil and just shaded around the heart. but I kept all this, like, you know, all this abstract brush mark, which I really love. And I didn't have time to do it this time, but I thought you could also take a blue wash of watercolor, dark blue, say, I can't think of a name now, something dark blue. I think it's gone, but in dark blue watercolor, and go around the edge there. And that would make this pop even more. So that gives you an idea of where I was going and where it all came from and what you can do. And then I thought to myself, I ran out of time as usual, but I thought you could do all sorts of shapes that way. You don't have to do a hard shape. You could do an animal shape and with this technique, or a bird shape. I have some bird shapes that I did. Whoopsie, like that. This one I haven't tangled on. I may not. I would like it the way it is. It's just a string. That gives you an idea of what the possibilities are and where you could go with that. And you could certainly do this bird shape. Does it fit? Yep, fits on a Zentangle tile. And you could do this same idea without cutting out the bird, and you would have a really lovely piece of art. Okay. So you're gonna get your 4 hearts out. And you're going to need your brush. Also, one other thing, you're going to need something to dab your brush on. And I've got a folded piece of paper towel. Kleenex works, toilet paper works, whatever you need that's absorbent. And I've got my water here, and I'll show you how these liquid watercolor work. This over here, put that over there. And so I have a butcher's tray for my palette. You could use a plastic plate as well if you don't have a watercolor palette, or your paints don't come with a palette. Like, you see, there's lots of dog hair in there. So, and a bead. Anyway, that you could utilize something like this. And this is very handy. I use it for lots of things. Holding stuff, paint, all sorts of things. So I'm going to get my brush really wet. So I'm going to really get it in the water. And the way you do this is a technique, the watercolor technique. You get it in there and you squeeze out the bristles with your fingers, then get it in there some more. And you do that about 2 or 3 times. And that makes sure, first of all, it's not sopping wet, but secondly, that the inner bristles are also absorbing the water. So a lot of people just dip in, but it's only the outer bristles that are absorbing the water. And that means that the paint won't be absorbed to the middle. So I'm just doing that. Get my brush ready, and I'm going to get out. So this is a permanent red. Now these are phenomenal because you need, I'm just going to shake it up. You need very little paint to make it go. Like that might be enough for today. I might have to add a couple more drops, but that's it. And this is the alizarin crimson, which I think is this one over here. But I'm not sure, so I'm going to dab it over there. Okay, and if you want to, you can test your color out and the intensity just on the edge of your paper. So I've got some down here. Just going to dab my brush a little bit. I quite often just hold this in my hand so I can always dab off the excess. And then I'm going to come over here to the lighter color. I'm going to use the lighter color first and add this, mixing in the water. And I'm just going to test it out. It's pretty intense, but it will dry lighter. So watercolors dry 30% of their wet intensity. So keep that in mind. It might look, oh, it's too much, but once it dries, it will be 30% lighter. And then I'm going to test my alizarin crimson. Such a pretty color. then if you want to test your color even further, I'm just waving it around to dry it here a little bit. Let's see, that's dry. Yep. And just see what they look like intersected. So I'm going to take my lighter red and go over. So you can see, I don't know if you can see this, but you can see that you can see the color below. So that tells me it's quite transparent. It's transparent red. Because part of the thing we'll be doing is intersecting the colors. And so I'm going to take the alizarin crimson and going over the lighter red, and you can see the lighter red there below. You can see the lines of it right there. So that's what you want. You want colors that are transparent and also look well, you know, they look nice. They're appealing to you when they intersect like that. One goes over the other. So now the fun begins. This is not really thinking. Actually, before the fun begins, let's do the tape. Ha, almost forgot a step. Okay, this part is optional. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I think it's fun and it adds to the excitement. And it's the part that you're going to tangle on after. So if you want to tangle on your hearts, this is kind of an important step. So I'm just going to try to get this backing off. I know, I was like, oh, Loretta, oh, that's funny. Okay. Trying to get this off here. It's like trying to open up bags at the grocery store sometimes. All right. I'm just going to randomly, I'm not really thinking, put down my tape and I'm going to give it a good smush down because I don't want it. I want to make sure that I've got nice, some nice clean edges. And the tape can go anywhere you want. I'm just going to do this. The edges off here again. There's probably a trick to this, which is a secret that I don't know about. Come on. Another bit. Try the other end. You probably got yours done already. I'm still trying to work out my bifocals. Come on, you little turkey. Oh, well, anyway, I will do that later. I will not bore you with that, but I'm going to put down the tape here. And you can do the same on all your hearts if you want, or you can leave the little one. Here's an example where I did do a little bit of tape on the small heart. And otherwise, let's see, put another one here. Here's one. Oh, they all got tape on them. Or you could do it without the tape for the small one. I did have a sample, it's gone. Except for the one that the dog ate. But that's also got a thing on it. She found it, gave it a good little chew. So just put on your tape while I try to get my 2 tapes done. Oh dear. Okay, oops, I got it. Okay. I think I've caught it. Take a minute to do it the way you'd like to. You could also, I suppose, just do one big long piece of tape across both of them for all your hearts. That would work. The washi tape's nice because it does lift up really easily afterwards. You don't have to mess around with it. But if that does happen, if your tape you're using is being a bit of a problem and it's too sticky at the end, you can take a hair dryer set to a warm temperature, and you can heat the tape up, and that activates the glue. It makes it more liquidy, and you should be able to pull up your tape quite easily. Let's just do it over here. And I'm going to do one. And you could do, you know, as many strips of tape as you want. You don't have to do just a couple, but for today, I'm just going to do one or two on each one. I can't believe it. Okay, there we go. I'll have to look that up. How to get that washi tape backing off without embarrassing yourself. Okay. And I found that I did try cutting the washing tape, and that just made it so it didn't, it was even more difficult to get the backing off. So that's when I started tearing it, which technically is better. La-di-da. Now this is where I would put in my instrumental elevator music. Oh, come on. Here we go. Probably not having bifocals would help. All right. So I've just done two here, one there to show you, but you could do more. Certainly could do more. Now for the fun. Now for the fun is I'm going to start with my lighter red. I've got quite a bit on my brush. You can see that right there. And we're just going to squiggle and squirt it on. Get more, a little more on. Randomly. Random. Just have fun. Don't think too much. Just think about the different shapes, F shapes, straight lines, C curves, waves. Just really have fun and abandon any real thought. And make sure you leave enough white space, because we're going to put other colors on there. And there also will be some white space on the hearts themselves, which is nice. Okay, so that's one color. And I'm just going to mute myself for a second while I dry it with the hair dryer. Okay, so I'm back. Didn't take long to dry it with the hair dryer. The way to test it is with the back of your hand, not so much the fingertip, because the fingertip has oil and grease on it, body oils, and just feel. If it feels cool to the touch, then it's still wet, and you might want to wave it around a little bit. Then I'm just going to go over these tapes because it kind of got a little bit heated and then they started lifting up a little bit. I'm just going to go over them again. And then I'm going to go in with my darker red or whatever darker color you chose to use. And again, I'm just thinking I want to intersect the colors over top of what's already there. Scribble over here. This part I really love. And that was, when I did the little windows, I was like, oh, this is so cool because every one of them looks different, can probably never be repeated in the same way again. So it's very unique to you. I need to just put in a little more paint. The nice thing about these hydrous watercolors is that they are very intense as well. And I imagine you could probably certainly could use Inktense blocks or pencils with this technique, or even watercolor pencils if you use them like pan watercolor. Okay, don't want too much on there. Gotta make sure I got room for gold. Stop, that one's a little over. But that's what it looks like, really messy. You think, oh, how is this gonna look? Oi, oi. And it's that every art that you go through, everything that you create will go through that teenage period where everything looks kind of ugly, an ugly few minutes. But the key I've found over the years is just keep going with it. If it doesn't work out, you can learn from it and do another one and change it up. But everything I've ever created, most everything, will go through this awkward, ugly phase. You're probably thinking, oh my goodness, what is she doing? But trust me, it's going to work. Okay, and I'm going to do some squiggles and maybe a C shape through here, just a little over there. Okay, so I'm going to dry it again, clean off my brush. It's important that you clean off your brush when you're done using them so they don't get full of paint. And then you have to get out the baby shampoo and clean them up, which I do every now and again anyway. I just like to get sure that it's more or less clean when it's put away. And then I like to set it on something so it dries on an angle. So an example like this micron would be like that. Whoops, to let it dry that way. Okay. So let's see if this is dry already, as I've been nattering away. Nope, still a little wet, so I'm going to mute again and use my hairdryer. Okay, now for the bling, you could use what I have, which is the Kuretake Scholar colors. You could also use a jelly roll in gold. And I've also got this cool thing. Now, if you want to give yourself something inexpensive as a treat, you'll want to look at getting a 18 karat gold leafing pen by Krylon. This thing is handy dandy. I don't know. It's beautiful gold that it spits out. I'll show you. And that's what it does. So you have to activate it, but it just makes a beautiful gold color. Can't really see there, but it's beautiful, and it's got quite a large nib, as you can see, but you can use it on either side to make your marks. So I'll show you what I'm going to do with that, in case you have a pen, and also show you with the story colors. So if you have a pen like this, you could just make some wild lines. You could make them thicker if you want. You could do the same with a jelly roll. They're going to be smaller, thinner lines, but you could restate them and then they'll be a little thicker. But gives you an idea of what you can do here. Looks like a little party on that heart. A heart party. Okay, so that's something you might want to invest in. Here, I think an art supply store here in Canada sells them for around $11. So probably less of that in the States, probably around $7. But fantastic way to add bling to your life. Okay, so let's go back to the Kuretake colors. I'm going to use this really deep gold. I'm going to get it nice and wet. It's got a little bit of red in there, but that's okay. You can also, which I didn't do, spritz it with some water to get that go activated. And I'm going to go to this heart here and just brush on here and there. Not thinking, just feeling my way through it. Some gold, so you can see that. Ooh, pretty, pretty. So get some, I like it nice and juicy. Okay, that's the other thing. If you're using pan watercolors of any sort, iridescent or non, you want to make sure that you add enough water so it's soupy, it's juicy, but not too thin. So this is about 2% milk, I'd say, towards half and half on the consistency. So that's what you want. You want it nice and juicy. Let's do that. Add some there. Not too much. I can go crazy with the gold, so I have to be careful. Okay, so you want to make sure that you've got some white left. So I can put that here and here. It's a little white. And how beautiful, though. I mean, there's nothing like it. Reds and golds. Oh, even purple and gold. Okay, I probably did too much in the gold on that one, but that's all right. I'll live with the results. Okay, so one last blast of the hair dryer, and then we'll start taking the tape off. All right, I'm back. So let's test to make sure this is all nice and dry. And now we'll take the tape. Okay, actually, no, one more. Okay, before that, all right, don't do the tape yet. Sorry, that was my fault. I'm taking my thicker nib pen and we're going to do sort of a neurographic line over top of this. And again, this is completely optional. You don't have to do this part if you don't want to. So I'm going to just start outside the heart shape with my thicker pen and do some, this is a 0.5 pit pen. You could also use a brush pen for this. And just go over these lines and I could make it however I want it. And these lines can be close together, far apart. It doesn't really matter. It's just whatever floats your boat today. So if you can see that line just goes everywhere and it goes outside the heart shape. So don't be afraid to go outside the heart shape to make it look like that. And then I'm going to go in, I still have this thick nib pen, and I'm going to round off the intersections. Maybe thicken up some lines here and there. Maybe go over the gold bit a little bit, and then I'm gonna have to, if I go into the gold, I might have to go into the onto the paper and just wipe off some of the gold, because it does attach this little gold flecks. I'm just going to take my time and go over these intersections. If you want to thicken your lines, you can certainly do that. Whatever makes you feel comfortable today, whatever you want to experiment with. It's all in one big experiment. You can see how that's coming together. And this line or string just sort of brings the whole heart design together. Joins everybody up. And it adds to the playfulness and the abstract. If anybody has any questions, let me know. You can put it in the chat, or you can just open your mic and speak. So this is really a basic, it's a basis for so many tangling possibilities, not just the hearts, but all sorts of other things that you could apply to this method, this background method. Now I'm going to, you don't have to do this bit, but I'm going to go and restate, go over the heart lines with my thicker nib pen. You could also use an 01 or thinner nib. I just don't want to lose it in here. It's like, oh, yeah, I can get pretty lost, all this going on. Okay. And then you can take the tape off, and that gives you a really good idea of what you've got going on. What surprises lurk beneath. Oh, that is cool. I do like the gold pen here. I really do. That's beautiful. Mm-hmm. Just gonna go restate this heart over here and do the same thing. Take my time too. These are fun. I hope you're having fun because I just find this whole process just a lot of fun. Again, this crazy string neurographic art, sort of white. And then rounding the intersections. Maybe going over the line with my thicker pen. I said if you have a PN pen you're using that you need to occasionally, or plastic nib pen, you'll need to just scribble it out a little bit to get rid of some of the gold flecks. I also want to mention that Nancy Donmar, who's here today, has got a great event coming up in April, an in-person Zentangle retreat in California. Maybe Nancy, you could tell people about it if I didn't catch you unawares.
Oh, no, thank you. That's really nice. Yeah, it's super exciting. We have the Peaceful Tangles retreat coming to California in April of 2024. It's been 4 years since our last retreat, and we all know why. But yeah, so excited. So it's all on my website, or just look it up. So or reach out to me. Thank you, Loretta. And hopefully, yeah, well,
So your
it'll be
website is your website,
oh,
you can let people know what it is.
it's well, get ready to write this down. It's a name that goes like this. It's called line.com.com. So Line, the word line, LINEDOTCALM.com. Hopefully that makes sense. Thank you, Loretta. I hope that a lot of tanglers can come on out, and we're going to have fun together. There's going to be 5 teachers here for 2 days and lots of art and fun stuff.
Super.
Thank you.
Okay, so this one's ready. I'll just go over this line here. Heater. Okay. And I'm going to just take off this tape. Oh, nice. And I'm going to go over where the tape lines are. I'm just going to go over that pencil line to finish the hearts off. Close those gaps. Okay. And these little guys, they won't take very long at all because they're pretty small. I'll just do a quick crazy line. It's kind of hard to see through the gold paint there, but I'm doing my best. Right. Okay. Close off this part. One's done. Little one, but quick. Do the same here. I'm going to draw over the pencil line again, a heart shape. And let's do some intersection. They intersect, the surrounding off. Okay, just going to restate the lines again. Go over, make them a little darker. All right, let me pull off this tape. Stuck. Let's try the other end. There we go. All right. So, how's everybody doing? We're good? Okay. So let's go to, we're going to take a 5-minute break. And I'm going to stop recording for a minute here. Okay. All right. So let's start on the tangling part. Now, this is a choice for you. You can tangle over the white bits like I'm going to be doing, the white strips. You can tangle over your paint if you want to. So we have an example of that. So many different hearts around here. I tangle over the paint. Of course, I don't have it right here. But you can. You can tangle over the paint and use the string that you've done as a barrier. Oh, okay, I know where it is. I lied. Do I have that? Yep, here. I knew I had it. So this one I did, it doesn't have the stripes or the white stripes, but it's no big deal. You can go right over them, but you can see where I utilized the neurographic line spaces. Oh, look, there's a heart right there. I just saw that. For the tangle. So what we're going to do is get a smaller nib pen. So this one's just a little too fat for what we need to do. It's a small area here, so you really don't need a large nib. So I'm going to go with my 0.1 micron. Make sure it works. And start with a tangle here. Hang on. Get to myself. Okay, myself, I said. All right. So the first one is very simple, but it's also very cool and apropos of what we're doing. And it's called Heartbeat, all one word. And let me get my piece of paper here to show you. Heartbeat. And it's a great one to start with because it is so simple. And who did it? Oh, I got it on there. What's her name? Oh. Okay, I'll come back to that. But it's very simple. It is a heart rhythm. And so you start with a straight line. And I've seen two ways of doing this. So just a little peak and a large peak and then a little peak and then a line. And the other way, to my little book here, is this way, which is more apropos of the actual rhythm. So going down below and then little peaks and then a line. I just thought it was really cool. I'm like, well, of course, maybe they're sitting there looking at the heart monitor and thought, oh, fantastic, what a great idea for a tangle. And to add some things to it to make it a little more Valentine's, you could add some hearts here, or maybe hearts here, if you have room. So Heartbeat is by Cindy Knapp. Easy, easy, fun tangles. Let's apply it to our, I'm going to use the white spaces here. And I'm going to do the second variation I showed you.
So cute.
Isn't it? If you know any cardiologists, do you want to
Well, you
send
know,
a card?
retired doctor, I know a lot of cardiologists.
There you go. This is for them. And then in the center, I'm not going to go straight across. I'm going to actually put a little square here for the center, but you could go straight across if you want. The pen's funny. Nope. I'm going to pick it up on the other side. And what's neat about this, really got it, I hate to say it, but it's got a neat rhythm. Bad, but it's got a neat rhythm to it. And then, you know, you could do the little heart shape here. But I think it's pretty obvious to most people that that is your, is that right? Your sinus rhythm? I don't know. How cool is that? So that's Heartbeat by Cindy Knapp. Thank you, Cindy. Then I'm gonna go the other way. I'm gonna try another one. And this one is called Heart Ribbon. by Barbara. Oh, there, I'm not even on the same page here, Barbara. Duel, G-U-E-L, Johnson. Okay. Oops, so the wrong way. All right, this one is a fun one. So it starts with line. Just a line, a straightish line. And then a heart at intervals. And the interval doesn't have to be equidistant. It can be whatever you want. Just make sure that there's enough to do auras around, enough space to do auras around the heart portion. And then we're going to mirror this. So I'll turn my paper upside down and mirror that heart. And then I'm flipping it back to the other way. And I'm going to aura above the line to space where the heart is. And just skip along with this line. Very pretty and delicate little tangle. And then do the bottom the same, skipping between where the hearts are. And then we're going to aura around each heart shape. Going back to heartbeat, I did see that it was really neat. Somebody used it as a border, and I thought that was brilliant. You know, if you're sending a Valentine, what a neat border that would make. Or any kind of heartfelt greetings. Okay, we'll go back and we're going to do another line. Now you may not have a lot of room on the white space here for all this, so you can sort of modify it depending on what you have for space. Take the bottom one. Just pretty, like this is very pretty. And then one more aura around the heart shapes. Okay, so heart ribbon. So I'm going to put it in here, coming across. Picking the middle of my line, I'm actually going to go and restate these lines here too. So on the edge of the paint gives me a little more of a focus. I should have done it over here too, and I'll do that again with the pen on the previous tangle. So I've left this square open. You could put any kind of tangle in there, or you could put in some beads. You want to glue some beads or a button or some sort of element in there that would fit. Okay, so starting in the middle of this, I'm going to start with my angle there. My hearts, I'll keep them quite tiny because I want to make sure I can aura around them. And I'm just going to draw it upside down. But you might have to turn the paper if that's more comfortable for you. My hearts are tiny, tiny little hearts. Okay. And again, we do the line above, skipping between where the hearts are, and the line below. And then aura around our little heart. Spread the love. Okay. And then one more straight line between the hearts, upper and lower, stopping where the line meets the vertical line. Just one, have I got room for one more? Yes, I do. Some other aura. You may not have room for an aura there. That's okay. Do you do you? All right. So let me show you. So that's just your basic tangle. We'll just show you here some of the embellishments that she had with her step out. So she darkened some of the hearts and then added little hearts in between the motifs. Did fewer auras here and added some more motifs right here. Added little peaks in between the hearts. Some more auras externally. Added some little black dots there. Did ones that's just heart within a heart within a heart. And then this one I really like, this little sprig. First of all, and then she also did some tiny, tiny perfs or little orbs in there. And then above that, these little sprigs, which is kind of spring-like and neat. So you'll want to look this up. It's got lots of ideas, and also if you come up with your own by doing it more and more. So it's Heart Ribbon by Barbara Dewell Johnson. So once the ink is dry on there, which it is on mine, then I can go back over it. Because as one friend pointed out, when I had it like this, which I thought was pretty neat, she said, it looks like bandages. So I thought, oh, you're right. After I went, she thought, oh yeah, she's right. Okay. So I'm going to take my lighter gold, the lightest gold that I have here, the Kuretake gold with the dog hair embedded there. I can see that. Maybe not. Just look like it. It's everywhere. Okay. I'm just getting it good and mushy, but not too. So I'm just going to test it out here because I want it to be quite transparent. I want to be able to see the ink underneath. So that's pretty good right there. Maybe add a little more water. Wow. I'm going to take my brush with the gold paint. I'm just going to brush over it. And right through the center. And that just sort of tones down the white that says, oh, look at me, I'm more important. And kind of harmonizes the design. Just very lightly on there. So it's a little bling, a little tint, but it doesn't obliviate. Obliterate? That's the word, I guess. Obliviate. I'm not sure if that's the right word. It doesn't cover up the tangle. That's what I'm trying to say. Obliterate, obliviate. I knew it's in there somewhere. Okay. Now, the next tangle we're going to do and it's based on the tangle cadent. So if you're familiar with cadent, then you'll be familiar with how to do this tangle. And I'm going to again go over and just the line where the paint stops, where the tape line was. Okay. So this one called Heart Swirl, all one word. Beth Gauguin. And now for cadent, usually you do it in a block of different swirly shapes, but we're going to do it in a line here because that's what we're utilizing. But if you're doing it so that you're filling in these areas instead of the line, you could certainly do it so that it's more like the original cadent. So it starts with this S shape and coming down and like that. And other S shape, little lazy S. And then a little bit like that. So you have this kind of not quite square, not quite round. So just do a couple here. Now this is an interesting one. It actually is harder than it looks. I found it harder than it looked. I thought, oh, this will be easy, but not really. So you have to really start the top of what will be a heart quite close to the center line. So I'm just going to start right down here. So now I have a heart shape, as you can see. Oh, Labrador time. Like, let me in. Okay. And then this is coming really close and touching that one. So we have that. Who's going to take down the door? All right, hang on. Let you start barking, you're going out. All right, she knows I'm a pushover. Okay. So then I'm going to turn my paper around and start another heart here. And another heart here. And one last heart touching here. Kind of funny shape, but there it is. Okay. So you already have something that looks like this, with the four hearts squished together. And if you want to, you can go in. I'm going to use my thicker pen. She could use the same one. And just black in these little areas here. These little funny triangles. We've got another one over here. No, leave it, Maddie. Stop licking the paper. Here, help. Okay. So that is Heart Swirl. You can see lots of options you've got. You know, if you wanted to shade it, if you're doing it on another application, you can shade these areas. You can add some embellishments to it. Maybe some little lines here. Lots of different variations for a beautiful little tangle. She's really only in here because she loves to lick the paper. Okay. Now, let's go back over to our heart and my O1. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this short one here. And this is the way I do this cadent tangle. If you have another way that you like to do, then that's what you should try. Or you could try this way. It's one of my favorites. It's an oldie but a goodie. Start the heart in the corner. Take your time. Ask yourself, how am I sitting? Do I feel comfortable? Do I need to wiggle around? Going to roll my shoulders up and back or forwards just to give them a little break. So, you know, this is pretty intense when you're learning new stuff. Look at one. Youth and heart. I should turn the paper. That would make life a lot easier, wouldn't it? Okay. Pretty, very pretty. So I'm going to go in with my thicker nib, which is my 0.3 pit pen. Or they call it, I don't know, they don't have it. Sometimes they have another title for it, but no, this is a 0.3. Just go around here and just black in or puddle in some of the bits around the heart and the heart shape. It's a pretty little tangle. Okay, I'm going to show you one last tangle and then we're going to start doing the assembly, and you can finish the tangling on your hearts at any time. I will send out a list of heart inspired tangles that you can try as well. We're going to do one last here, which isn't really a heart one, but I just really liked it. And I think this could just sort of top it off here. So this one is called Vanilla, Fanella, and it's Cindy Knapp again. And we're going to end the little border here. You're going to make quite wide zigzag to make sure you've got enough space. A little half moon for the peak. And then, pretty simple, a center line and some other lines coming out. I'll just give you some variations. That's one variation. You could aura this again. We do a couple of auras. Don't have them going all the way to the top. And then right here, little tiny dark orbs. I just thought it was fetching. Like, oh, I really like this. It has a real Aboriginal kind of feel to it. I could also make a wider band up here, and she's done here. She's done some lines like that. And you can make them all the same, or you can make them all different on your little heart. Variety is a spice of life, as my math teacher used to say. Then you go in and this little, and then you would just do the same on the other peaks. So this way. So that is Fanella. Cindy Knapp. Really cool. Easy to do, quick to do. So we're going to go to my heart here. I'm going to do it across here. And I'm going to switch back to my 01. I could do it with the thicker nib as well. Actually, I want to do that. So I'm going to change my mind and do a thicker nib for the zigzag. Maybe go over it so it makes it even thicker. Then got my 01. I'm just going to do the basic design here. Get too fancy. You can do as many lines as you want that fit in for you. I'm just doing 3 in this case. Pretty. Really pretty. Okay, so I'm gonna go back and get my really, really light gold. Just here. And add some more water to it because it kind of dried out while we're tangling. Let's test it out. So yeah, it's nice and light, translucent. And go over my bandages. And okay. Pretty. It's a little darker than the other one, but it's okay. So, put this to dry. Sort of clear the decks here. We're finished with the painting and the tangling part of this lesson. Get rid of all that stuff. Oh, somebody wants to go out now. Bored. Oh, are you going to teach? Okay. So feel this is so dry. Yeah, pretty dry. So I'm going to cut them out using my scissors that are smaller. And this is where, that really reveals what you've done so far. But you also have to be careful that you don't start cutting in the wrong line. I've done that. You stay to the heart shape because it is similar to the neurographic lines. And then you'd have to get out the tape. And if it does happen, don't worry, but just tape it from the back side because the two back sides are going to be glued together. So it won't be seen, and maybe stick some more paint over it if it looks there's white edges or anything. And no one will be the wiser. Okay. That gives you an idea of what they look like when it's done. And if you want to, at this stage, before you glue it on, you want to add anything. You want to add something, a blingy thing there, or some sort of design. Now is a good time to do that. You also might want to add gold paint around the edges. You can do that with the brush and the gold paint, but I've got my lovely gold leafing pen, and I just go around the edges, and it kind of covers up any black lines that might be there. Gives it a little bling. Okay, another other option is you can leave it. Today I'm just going to leave it paper colored, whatever this white on the back, but you can also, if you want, put some gold paint on the back in case there's anything sort of showing through from one heart to the next. So that's an option for you today. But can you see, just as they are, and you put them on a card, how pretty is that? And maybe do this tangle heartbeat around the edge. Really pretty. Easy, pretty Valentine's card right there. And I'm going to cut the other one out. Very careful around the curves. And you could also use a cutting mat and a cutting tool. Now I've got this, one of these dangerous knives would work. A little harder with thick watercolor paper, but it can be done. I find little scissors. These are just little sewing scissors. It makes them Dura Sharp. And they are Dura Sharp. I've had them for years and they're still very sharp. In here, it's a little tense. There. Okay. So these are ready to apply back to back. Now, if you want to, you can see they don't quite match up. So once they're glued together, you can go over and trim off the larger heart. It doesn't bother me, and that's why I did the gold on the back of those ones. So it didn't matter, because you can, it might not line up, but where it pokes out, you don't really see because it's gold underneath. So you're going to need a goodly length of thread or string or whatever you have. This is a very thick kind of a nylon, what does it say? Nylon thread. Say the thickness. It says just does 2 ounces. I've had it for years. But it's very thick thread and it really is great for beading and all sorts of stuff. So I'm going to just sort of judge what I want. So you just sort of have to make sure that you have enough thread so you can fold it over. And when it's folded over on itself, that you have enough space to put your hearts on like that with something, a hangy bit off the top, so the loopy bit. And if you're going to do little hearts, there's the dog sheet heart. I've got like this, it's slightly further down. So you want to make sure that you've got enough space for that. So for mine, I'll measure it in a second here. I'm just going to cut this off. And I'll tell you what it is. So folded, this is approximately 19 inches folded. So if you did 28 inches, not 28, 38, 19, 19, 38 inches or 40 inches, 40 inches, you'd have certainly enough room on there. Okay, so I'm getting out my parts. I've got this ready. I've got my hearts ready. Got some smaller hearts I did previously. Labrador loved heart. We'll use it. And I'm going to get my washi tape. Where'd it go? There it is. Oh, the annoying washi tape. Actually, I might, because it's such a pain. Being such a pain, I think I'll use this tape. This ATG Crafters tape. I'm going to put it down the middle. Let's get it started here. It's a new one. Okay. And just put it down the middle. You can't really see it here. It's a little shiny. There, I've got it there. And I'm going to lay my, at the top of my loop there where I want it. Make sure I've got Oh, I've got about 2 inches at the top. Lay it down. Don't be a pain. Oh. So if you're using tape or the washi tape, you would just do this and lay the washi tape over it to hold it while you sort of wiggle it around. Get it in the position that you want. Okay. And then you can take a glue stick, or I've got my crafter's tape here. I've just got it, so I'll just put some down there. Of course, it's being silly today. Oh dear. Okay. I got this, got that. That's where I could use that third hand. And then I've got this. See, it keeps wiggling around. So maybe the tape, the washi tape would have been smarter, Loretta. Oh well. Too late now. Okay. I've got this pretty well centered over each other. I'm trying to line up the bottom and the edge and keep the thread trapped. And that's it. I'll press it down, and therefore there it is. Now I might want to add some more in here. I can see where it's not quite glued down on the bottom. So put that in there. Come on. Woo. Talking helps. Talk to it. So there's the other side with the Krylon pen. And there it is. Pretty. Being silly. I might have to mess around with it. I have glue dots. Hello. Glue dots. Handy little thing. Right here. I've had these for years. Seems like I never run out of glue dots. And just stick it in there. Come on. Oh dear. This is not a good day for gluing. There. Glue dot. Did it. Yay. And then I've got these ones. I'm going to put this one, the dog chewed one, on top. And this one on the bottom. And this time, it's a smaller heart, so hopefully it'll be more reasonable. But we will see, right? So I got that. Hold that down. That's fiddly. There's no doubt about it. But this is an easy way to do it. Another way to do it is with beading wire and crimpers and all that stuff. And I thought this would be easier to show you. Okay. And now this is the dog eaten heart. But it deserves to be seen too. I've got some glue on both sides this time. Glue everywhere. Stick this over top, stick this over top. Is not going to quite close. It's very close, but not quite there. That. Might have to fiddle around with it. You've got your two hearts together like that. Oh, and then where's my special bead? The special bead. Okay. I don't remember where I got this from. You know, I might have got it at Michael's. But I might have got it. Most likely I got it at a bead store. Now that is fun, to go to a bead store. I just love going through the beads and seeing the different types and collecting beads. And Not really using them, but sometimes I do, like today. Okay, so got that. Good heavy weight at there at the bottom. Tie it off a couple times. You might have to put a bead below there, a small bead to keep it from falling through. Okay, let's see. I'm just gonna, you can't see this, or maybe you can. Ooh, make sure that it does. It hangs, it's not falling through. Pretty, pretty. Let's see, get this. Aha, that's better. You can see what it looks like. I'm just going to cut off the end here a little bit. I don't like that much of a tang, an end, but and if you could, if you know how to do tassels, or it's not very hard, they're very easy. You could make a tassel on the end, make it even more pretty. But that is the ornament of hearts. I really would love to see what you do with this. So if you could email me a photo, don't mind me sharing it around, that would be great. My email address is Loretta, Loretta, West, WEST 18 @gmail.com. You can also tag me on Instagram, loretta.west.artist, and show your stuff. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you have fun with this project.